The Bar Group, raising the bar in real estate. Your Lake Highlands, Lakewood, Preston Hollow pros. You can find them at thebargroup.com. Unparalleled customer service for your real estate needs. The Bar Group.
Coming through.
I go look for it?
Yeah, you can look for
I have
it.
to look for it.
Not right now, because we're going to introduce you in a second. But this guy I'm about to introduce, he's new to Dallas. I personally think, before I even say his name, he's more famous than the person that actually has his name. Kind of like Michael Bolton in Office Space. You've seen that?
Oh, yeah. I'm aging myself right now.
No, you're not. I'm going to keep it simple. I have an amazing man who moved down here with his family to Dallas to take over a prestigious club called Dallas Country Club. And he took a spot of a very, very respected mentor and friend of mine named Addie Quorum. And I taught Max and Barbara Quorum, both his kids. And his name's Michael Jordan. Michael, what's up, man? How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
This is great, man. It's this guy's like Elvis or like John Lennon or Bob Marley or Kurt Cobain. Everybody thinks they're still alive and they're not. So this guy can never track down. But I'm glad he's here, and welcome to Dallas, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you very much.
So talk to us about what are your, let me start again. Basically, we ask these questions, there's no right or wrong answer. So please don't think that. And fellow future pickleball pros and current tennis pros becoming pickleball pros and people just listen to the show, it's all just an easy, fun show here. Why, what, where, when, how pickleball? Tell us how you got here.
It's an interesting story. I have been a tennis player my entire life. Tennis has given me everything I have, the roof over my head, the education for my kids. So I feel very, very fortunate to be doing what I'm doing. Teaching tennis and directing it at the higher levels is difficult, right? So we're on court a lot. My body's been beat up over the years, and I moved to Pennsylvania to become a director, a first-time director, and was on the court a lot, rebuilding the program there. In the first few years, I raised the participation over 500%, and I did that by being present every single day, 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. But to do that, it requires time, right?
Sacrifice, man.
And the sacrifice was I was a first-time director wanting to be successful, right? Mm-hmm. And I was able to get clay courts built. I was able to get a second bubble. To do all that required a lot of time on court.
What club was this again? I'm sorry.
This was Lancaster Country Club in central Pennsylvania. Wonderful club, but they were dying for more and more and more. And building a staff, doing all the things that require that kind of success takes time and effort, and mentoring people and getting them to do and buy into your vision. Well, all that time on court took its toll, and in the course of 3 years, I herniated the disc in my neck twice. The second time coming back was more difficult than the first. I had injections. I never had to have a fusion. So coming back from that, I was dying to play tennis, and then I finally got cleared, almost a year after the second herniation, because I refused to get a fusion based on what doctors told me. Like, if you don't have to do it, don't do it. Only if you lose muscle strength. Otherwise you just kind of have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. And it's brutal. Mm-hmm. So finally got cleared to play. The first match I played, I was playing one of the club champion at Lancaster Country Club, Jeff Clark. I'll never forget it. And the first set, I was completely out of shape, but I love playing tennis. So he hits me a drop shot, and I was already gassed. I didn't even run for it, and all of a sudden I hear my coach in my head saying, "Run, Michael." If I didn't run when I was a junior, he would point to the track behind the court and tell me to go run. Right? So I'm in the second set, and he hits another drop shot, and I just take off and I slide. And when I do, my toe caught the line. We had all this rain, so that the tape was lifted a little bit, and it was right by the net, somewhere where you'd never expect to even be, Yeah, on the clay and I slid into it, and I rolled my ankle end over end, and I tore the tendon in my foot.
Call that guy a loser? Throw your racket at him.
He helped me get to the emergency
Did you
room,
win the
so-
point is the question. That's what everyone wants to know. Did you win the point?
I did win the point.
Yeah, see? Fucking man.
So I go to the doctor. I was misdiagnosed at first because they thought it was an ankle sprain. They thought I dislocated my foot. Long story short, I was told I'd never play tennis again. When we found out that I had torn the tendon, this was like 6 months in. I was in a boot for 6 months. When they found out it was a torn tendon, I had to go into a cast, then a boot. I mean, it was a long process. And then I found out that, to have the surgery, it's a 50-50 shot. And I would have to be on one of those carts. I wouldn't be able to be on court. So I chose not to have the surgery. But I had an amazing physical therapist who pushed me, and explained to me that, you're not going to be like you were in your 20s. At this point, I'm in my early 40s. And I said, I don't want to do that. I just want to be able to play with my kid. I have at that time, Frederick was very young. So that was my goal, was to be able to run around and play with him. And I went through another year of physical therapy, did not buy into what the doctor told me, and just worked my butt off to get back. And when I got to a particular point in my rehabilitation, my physical therapist said, is there anything you can do to, start moving again? By this point, pickleball was happening, but it wasn't what it hadn't exploded yet, right?
I know.
So I said to her, there's a sport called pickleball that I really want to bring to Lancaster Country Club. My general manager put to me, the numbers are enormous, but how are you going to get them bigger? He was someone who pushed, and I love a leader like that.
Yeah.
And I said, there's this sport called pickleball that I want to do. This is a week before I had this conversation with my physical therapist. And he goes, tell me what to do. Let's do it. Let's bring it here.
What year was this?
This was 2016, 15.
You're 3 years ahead of me. Good job.
So
Wow.
So I researched it in Lancaster. There was a public facility, like a gymnasium that they had it in, a rec center. And, I was still hobbling at this point. I wasn't able to really run, but, I go there. I bought, a $20 paddle online from Amazon, and I go there. And the thing that everyone should realize about pickleball is if you played a racket sport, particularly tennis, you have an edge up coming in. The sport's just changed so much in the last 2 years.
Oh, I know. I've seen it. Yeah.
As you go in as a tennis player, you have skills that really translate over. So I go to this place, and I'm hobbling around. I'm kind of watching, and I meet the director of the night, because there were different people, and he says, who are you? What are you here to do? And I go, I'm here to learn and play pickleball. And he said, are you good enough to do it? And I said, put me on a court, let me find out. I mean, that was an honest answer.
Okay,
I didn't say anything about tennis.
Look, I don't give a shit about my back. If you're going to talk to me like that, I'm going to beat your ass left-handed, bro.
Well, he saw me hobbling, so I think he was
exactly.
in question.
I know.
So he puts me out there, and I kind of read over the rules and everything.
Yeah.
And I go out there, and I instantly am just having so much fun.
Yep.
Right? Like I hadn't been able to run and do anything, and I'm coming to the kitchen, doing my thing, and I come off the court after being on for 4 games straight, and I was like a rock star, right? Everyone's walking over going, who are you? How did you learn to play so well? And I'm just kind of laughing.
I got game. I ain't got a back, but I got game.
I mean, I don't know if it was that or they just were so much worse, at the time. Because at that time, it's just bang, bang, and, you hit a little drop shot in the kitchen and they can't get to it. So in the course of that night, I was taking a break, and some people walked over and said, what happened to your foot? And I was explaining to them, and it was one after another. Oh man, I had my knees replaced. I played tennis. Oh, I've had elbow problems. I've had ankle problems.
Wow.
And they're talking about pickleball. And as a tennis pro, right, our job is to read people and see them and their reactions. And I see that spark in their eye, and I felt it in myself that night. And I realized right then and there, this is something special, right? Not just because of how much fun I was having, but this is special because people can play it who have been injured, and it's a smaller court. And I went all in that night. I went home. My head could barely fit through the door because I had so much fun. Like that night, I get home, and my wife, I'd had a tough couple years, And my wife said, "What's going on? Like, you look so happy."
I love
And
that
I
shit.
said,
That's awesome.
"I can tell you, it's called pickleball." So
That's the story, man.
yeah, I went all in with it. I was very fortunate to be at a conference maybe a year later. So I brought it to my club. It exploded. I was at a conference, a USPTA conference, a year later in Middle States, and this young pro, Jarrett Chirico, was speaking.
Guy's a machine.
And I loved what he was saying because I was already experiencing it. And ironically, when I was in Virginia Beach, that's where I'm originally from. I was at the Princess Anne Country Club for 25 years.
Wow. But
I coached a ton of very high level kids, and a lot of them went to Virginia schools. And just so happened, I'm reading Jarrett's bio, and I see that he went to UVA, and I look at the dates, the years, and I sent 3 kids there that year.
And they played together.
And happened to be Jarrett's roommate, right? So I walk up, introduce myself.
That's so cool.
I call Michael Downing, who was his roommate, and we just connected, man. And he was the pickleball guy, even back then.
So awesome.
He was preaching a message that I bought into completely, and he more or less took me under his wing, helped me get certified with a PPR. Then I became a national clinician, started traveling around. I would go to Baltimore Country Club. That's where he was at the time, and help with,
Did you go to Chevy Chase with Guga?
I met Guga. He was there, yeah, but he was.
I remember all types of weird shit.
Guga's a phenomenal platform tennis player. So I met him years earlier, and he would come to our platform openings, and we just became friends through that, and his knowledge with platform tennis.
So speaking of real quick, speaking of platform tennis, I had a good friend of mine who's in Michigan, Kalamazoo, and they're redoing that club up there, and he's the head. His name's Will Seagraves, and I asked him, how do you define platform tennis?
Platform tennis.
What's an easy definition for you? I'll tell you what his is.
It's a cold weather sport that's a cross between racquetball and tennis.
Wow. Well, Will said tennis with a second chance, but whatever. I can't take credit for that one, but no, I've these are things that I want to see and do more about. I had no clue. So going to certifications, so like with your staff, and this is going to go out to a lot of people here, over across the seas, wherever. We are on all platforms. We're on Spotify. We're on Amazon. If you want to download this, download the Vocal app, and you can watch the show with this good-looking MJ guy here. Or you can just go to Apple TV, and they have it. And I didn't even know that crap. So the stuff you're saying, people are going to see. And I'd love to see more platform down here in Texas. But to keep matters going in the right path, so do you believe that you in certifications for your pros, or do you believe them, let them figure it out? Or there's no right or wrong answer? What do you think? Just how do you feel about that?
I've had some amazing people mentor me in my career. So I believe in mentoring. And I absolutely believe the pathway to success is through knowledge, and that includes certifications. So in Lancaster, I was there for 9 years. My entire staff was USPTA and PPTR, PPR, pickleball.
All those letters.
PPTR platforms.
Yes.
So we were all triple threats.
That's awesome.
Which Dan Samtorum, who's an amazing
I know,
mentor.
I've talked to him once.
He's an amazing guy, but I absolutely believe in that and push my pros towards it.
He's the type of director that I've worked for once, and I was with him for 10 years at Brookhaven, and all those pros, Dave Ware, Dave Anderson, Billy Freer, they keep you on the edge, and they keep you educated, because if you're not educated, you're stagnant. And I think that's a great way. And I've had directors on that don't care for it. They care about the product. And I think it's all goes into each individual director has their own style. And you attract people, and I know I'd work for you, but I'm too old now, but I'm saying that's how I get in. And what you're doing there at Dallas Country Club, having that is awesome. So what's the vibe? Like tennis pickleball professionals like this are like, hey man, how you doing? How they doing there? Just fun. Members, how they feeling?
Members are excited about it. We have courts that are about to be done, hopefully in the next month or two.
How many courts you getting?
4 permanent courts. My staff is extremely excited about it. I brought someone down from Pennsylvania, Derek Cagino, who plays professional pickleball. He's a great pickleball player, but he's even more of a phenomenal coach. The excitement and enthusiasm that he instills in everyone who's on the court with him, you can't teach what he can do.
What's his name again?
Derek Cagino.
Nice. And he's from
He's from Pennsylvania, from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So I hired him when we found out we were going to have 4 pickleball courts. It's very clear when I came, no one had the ability, to kind of to put out a product. So we brought him down. But what's funny is my staff, who's we have some tenured people. They're so excited about pickleball and getting involved and learning.
That's oh my God, dude! I love that shit. God, I did, man. Like I've been saying for a long time, it's a battle sometimes, and I've been through a lot of letdowns with pickleball and a lot of highs and lows. My driving force is to have people like you. Because when I heard you guys were coming in to take well-respected directors' positions, who I've had a good relationship with, Addie at Dallas Country Club, Jeff Hedges at Royal Oaks. There's other ones coming on, but I'm happy that you're doing that, because we really do need a uplift. We need more than just one sport. I think that this paddle sports, and I know paddle sports and pickleball and tennis and padel and platform, they all need to be. You come to a facility, you need to have, I think, all those.
Yeah,
right?
well, I don't think there's such thing as a tennis director anymore.
I said that 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Mark my words, I said that, and there's no disrespect to that title.
No,
it
not
should
at
be
all.
racket sports. It's a different industry, right?
Tennis is my first love, man. It always will be.
I know. I hear you, man.
But,
I love it.
But it's a rackets world now. And if you're not buying into that, you're irrelevant.
I love it. Damn, Mike. You can't leave. You can mic drop if you want, but you can't. But that's true. I love that. I respect the hell out of that. So your vibe with the pros are good. That's love. They want to do that, man. And listen, like Mr. Jordan knows, and the old guy Curtis Reese here knows, is that you can get anybody to do anything, but you have to believe in it. You're the leader of the charge, and I'm so happy about that. So going to some other things. So what's your current focus with pickleball right now? Is there something that you and some other guys are doing, some other pros, or what's going on?
My current focus, to be quite honest, is to learn Dallas Country Club and all my members. They're the most important thing.
There you go.
So I've had to put like my PPR clinics and stuff on the back burner for the time being.
Fair enough. That's right.
Because my number one priority is to get to know the membership and the culture of Dallas. But we have all the pieces. I have the most amazing staff.
I can agree with that.
We're going to hit the ground running with pickleball. I'm going to keep learning, and we're going to keep growing together.
Now, are you doing something outside of Dallas Country Club with some? Did you guys create something with pickleball or the racket industry? What you guys working on?
I'm part of a group of people that created the Directors Club. Jarrett Chirico is the original founder of it. Chris Gale, who's in Houston at oh my gosh.
You had to ask me this question. I just saw Rivercrest.
River Oaks.
Damn it! Whatever. We both got it.
Jarrett's Gray Oak. I'm sorry. Jarrett's Royal Oaks, and he's River Oaks, and I always get them confused. But phenomenal clubs. I mean, two of the best clubs in the country.
He's coming on in a couple weeks.
So this club, really community, came about because we were all talking about what the industry's doing and how it's transforming, and it's transforming as fast as pickleball has. So through the course of conversations and with Guga Conclaves at Brook Hollow, we're all making ways in our own way down here in Dallas and in Texas, and we all had ideas and started sharing them with each other, and Jarrett spearheaded it to become this thing that is very special. It's a rackets community where we're trying to educate not just pros in the industry, but GMs and clubs and get them to understand what is rackets. It's not just one thing, it's multiple things. And, understanding that is difficult because the industry is changing for the first time in years.
So you coming from, this is going to pertain back to pickleball. Probably in a nutshell, you've been immersed with platform. You've always done well with tennis, obviously. Do you believe? I believe that all these things work together.
Oh, 100%.
And I know that pickleball and tennis, they all can work together.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all touch points. It's
that
about
touch
getting
points.
people in your facility, on your courts. Yep. Because if you have someone who hasn't played tennis for a long time, right? Tennis courts are big; they're scary. It's a lot of acreage.
Yeah, that's
right?
a good point.
you get them on a pickleball court, and all of a sudden, like, they're a little more fit. They're having fun. They're looking over at people playing tennis. seeing their smiles, seeing what they're doing. Man, maybe I should try that. Maybe I should do that again, right? All of a sudden they're playing tennis, right? They feed off of each other, and anyone who debates that is crazy. Like, they're not at the right club, or they don't know what they're doing. It's that simple. So each racket sport feeds off each other, but you have to have people in place that have a passion and love what they do, because you can't fake that. If you have someone who loves platform tennis and doesn't like pickleball, don't teach pickleball.
No kidding.
Right?
Thank you, God.
Learn it, learn about it, understand it,
basics.
because what you do there can affect what you do on a platform tennis court, and how you market it and how you teach it.
That's right.
You know, just like it can in tennis. So they all work with each other. You know, one of the big sayings from my friend Jared is connecting the dots. And that's exactly what they do. They connect the dots for the members to be at their facility, whether it's a private club or a country club, doesn't matter, right? Or a commercial club.
Like whatever, yeah.
But they bring people to your facility, and if you have people in place that know what they're doing, it's just going to explode.
Well, man, this guy's knocked. No wonder it took so long to get this guy in front of me. Jiminy Christmas. Great story with his injury. And I mean, going back to you, that's why I started, because I like to play with my dad. 2018, I got to get him on course for the first time since 1997. And he's like 2,000 years old.
Special.
No, he's not.
That's pretty impressive.
No, he's 70, he'll be 80 this year. But it was fun to have, because I've been on the court since 97, and I fell in love with it just for that because at Royal Oak starting. And anyway, so it was a unique situation. But I knew right off the bat, walked off the court, came back from Bentry. I'm like, there's something here, and I felt what you felt. So, tell us about you. I mean, I'll tell you what, real quick, about your pickleball program at Dallas Country Club. Do you have any type of equipment, or should we wait to bring your head pickleball pro on to talk about that? Or do you prefer any style, or do you really care what brand you use, or what?
I prefer Electrum paddles. I've gotten to know Colin Johns pretty well over the last few years.
All right, no kidding.
When he was at Baltimore Country Club, so I was working with both of them. He and Jarrett, were, I think, the original, PPR testers and everything. And I was fortunate enough to get to know them and work with them. And Colin's a special guy, man. You'll never meet someone who's more humble and more willing to give back than that guy. He's amazing.
Colin Johns is the little brother, older brother of Ben Johns.
The older brother.
And they have a sister, correct?
They do. They have a big family. But Colin is the one that I've gotten to know on a personal level, and there's no one who's more of a stand-up guy than him.
Man, they're good peeps, Midwest people, huh?
Great guy. They're from Maryland originally, so East Coast people. I'm an East Coast guy too.
I'm Midwest, sorry. I apologize. Don't oversight.
So yeah, I love the Electrum brand and what they're doing.
Is there a certain rep or somebody you'd like to say their name on here? Maybe somebody thinks they want to try Electrum?
Colin is who I go through. He's the ultimate Electrum rep. Colin Johns.
Oh.
That's who I get all my stuff from.
Colin Johns.
Yeah.
The guy on the tour.
The guy on the tour.
Oh, now you're just showing off. Whatever. God, this
the number one pickleball doubles player in the world.
Okay, fine. This guy's cooler than me. Whatever. Anyway, so no, I'm just kidding. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about where you're from, your college, your family here. What do you want to talk about? Let's let people know who you are. When they come on, they know who you are, and they want to work for you one day.
Most importantly, I'm the husband to my wife Flavia. I'm the father to my daughter Maria and my son Frederick. They're the most important people in my life, and they're the reason I do everything I do. But there's this first love that I have before I had any of them, and it was tennis, and now it's racket sports. And I'm very fortunate to have someone in my life who supports me 100% and allows me to do what I love to do.
I have the same thing. I have a wife, and she's been through 23 years now. She's been with me all, and I know your wife knows. You can't do without a good woman. Like they said in Days of Confused, bro. Remember that? Martha Washington, man. All right. So you said you're where'd you play college, if I can ask?
So I'm originally from Virginia Beach. I was at one club, the Princess Anne Country Club, for 25 years. Wow. Played my college tennis at Old Dominion University.
Nice. ODU, baby.
Yep.
Ooh, you're a baller, man.
Got into to teaching, right out of college. Didn't think I was going to do it. Fell in love with it because, I realized I had people who helped me tremendously achieve my dreams and goals. And when I started teaching tennis, I realized I could be that person for someone. So I fell in love with it, right away and went all in. So I was there for 25 years, and I had a director who came in, John Fraser, and wonderful guy. He was a tough guy. We didn't get along at first.
Yeah.
But he's the one who told me, you're too good to just be a pro or a head pro at that time. He said, you need to go be a director, and in order to do that, I was going to have to leave my home. I lost my dad when I was 12 years old. So I might have stayed in Virginia Beach a little too long because that's where my mom was. But I loved, the people. I loved the club. But he and my general manager, Bill Shunk, who supported me, unconditionally, really taught me, that I had to go chase my dreams and goals, and that's
Saturday Live, you get kicked out.
Yeah, right.
Mine's like, you got to go on. You got to move. But I want to say, you got to move on. You're too good to leave. I keep you for that. It's funny because what people need to understand, and you understand this, is if you don't help educate the general manager with being in our certain aspect of a private club or of a public facility, they don't know what's going on. They have no clue about tennis, especially pickleball, and they look to you. And when you can educate them like you are, and you have people that saw you for who you are and where you were going, I've had two people in my life in 48 years. Three that I can name. One of them was my dad, my parents, obviously, and then obviously I had Coach Blair my sophomore year of college. He's passed away, and then there was, I met my wife, and this sounds corny, but it's true, man, because you know what it's like. There's been times where I'm quitting this shit, but that's great, man. I don't know what to say. So now let's go to the fun part. This is called In the Kitchen.
Okay.
This is where I like people get to know you, and they get to kind of know what's going on. I tell you fun things about what I'm doing. And so right now, as far as with regards to a Netflix or a show, was there anything you're binging that is on prime time when you have time with your wife or your son? Right now, I'm watching F is for Family on Netflix with Bill Burr. You know what that is?
I haven't seen that one.
It's our version of King of the Hill. You know King of the Hill is?
Yeah.
And that guy's from Garland, Texas. That guy's. So that's what I'm watching. It's pretty funny. You watch anything fun on Netflix?
So we had this little thing called Ice Storm recently, where we were kind of stuck in the house. And I got hooked on Stranger Things because my daughter has watched it for a couple years now and would always talk about it. I had no clue what she was talking about. And I called her, that morning, and she said something about that show. And I was like, told my wife, I was like, I'm going to check it out.
Did you like it?
I've watched all 4 seasons in like 4 days.
Is it good? I haven't finished it.
It's kind of sci-fi. There's a little gore to it, but it was good, man. I got hooked on it where I watched it over and over and over. But the other thing that my wife and I are hooked on together is Yellowstone, man.
See, we finished. We've seen this finished.
I know. I'm waiting on the next season.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah, I watched every season with
We
it.
did that too. And I mean, it's funny because it's just good because I believe people need to get to know the person behind the pickleball facade, and I'm very passionate about that. So we got that going. So like, what's your favorite movie of all time?
Shawshank Redemption.
Yes. Damn.
Either Get Busy Living or Get Busy Dying.
Sorry, I had to bust out Dazed and Confused last Friday.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I mean, that's right. That's how I thought of we have to get a wife at home, or not at home, but what that you know what I'm saying. We can't really say the verbiage, but you can, but I'm not going to say it. But basically, Martha Washington was awesome. So I busted that out. Dazed and Confused was one of Richard Linklater's first movies out of Austin, and obviously Matthew McConaughey was in it.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite movie of all time that you can think of that kind of comes around once every couple of years that you watch?
Yeah, I've been a big Star Wars fan my whole life.
He's the first person to say it. Keep going.
Yeah, and now my son, I watch them all with my son. So I've watched all the spinoffs, Mandalorian, I'm a big Star Wars fan.
There's a new movie coming out called Rogue, not Rogue One, it's Rogue. Oh, I saw it. It's coming out this year. Rogue Brigade or something like that.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be a spinoff of Rogue One. Well, that's cool, man. All right. So now I added a new thing to this. So you're in the inaugural podcast.
Okay.
Don't say the Pickleball Show with podcast. All right. With Curtis yet. Okay. But I listened to a podcast that really was good. And it takes a lot for me to kind of get into stuff. But the Wonderland Murders. That's what, back in the early 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard about it and read about it, and it's just a weird situation, but it kept my attention because it's really, I just listen. I like crime stuff. So some people watch that or make it lighter. I like watching, listen to Smartless with, who's in it? I fucked it up. Smartless. It's got the guy from Will and Grace. Can't think of his name right now. It's got,
not a big Will and Grace fan.
I know, me neither. There's the funny guy in there. Sean Hayes. Sean Hayes, and then who's the other guy from This Is So Bad? I got Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and the guy from The Talks Like This. What's his name? Oh, come on.
I don't know. I thought that was a good rock impression, though.
He talks real deep like this. That's how he talks. Yeah. Sorry, man. Anyway, what are you listening to podcasts on the way here? Like meditation, going to meet Curtis, or what?
Yeah, I like educational, so I listen to a lot of educational podcasts. Just depending on whether it's
How long the drive is.
very true, or yeah, just anything that can kind of help me improve myself and to help improve people. That's good. I'll listen to anything.
Well, that's me. This guy's. I think he's too nice. I think he's evil at times. But anyway, so pets. Got any pets? I got 2 pets. Chief
Man,
and Gus.
I've had Boston Terriers my whole life until about 3 years ago. We lost a dog that I bought for my daughter when she was very young, and it was just too hard, man. I couldn't get another dog right away. I think we'll get one eventually. But
when was that?
That was about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it was
What
brutal for me.
was the dog's name?
His name was Buddy.
Buddy. And how old was he?
He was, I get
emotional,
man.
No, I'm
sorry.
I'm going to tell you my story.
He was about 12. He was 12 years old, and but he was just the most loving dog. I don't know what kind of breeds you like, but Boston Terriers are the best dogs. They're like little pit bulls. They're tough as hell, but they're so loving. You know what I mean? So when we lost him, my daughter wanted another one. We wanted to get one for my son, and I was like, I just can't do it. Like right now, I can't do it.
I can tell you, we lost our dog of 17 years, May of 2021. He was dude, and that it hurts, dude. It's like you think you could prepare for it, and it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
But we got Chief, who's our Labradoodle, a year ago.
Okay.
So we went about 2 years, a year and a half almost. And then we got Gus, who's a Havanese. My parents got him; they were too old, and we had to adopt him because they were falling on him. And so it's not a joke; it's true. And so we have 2 dogs. So they're Chief and Gus.
Yeah.
Favorite sports teams? Come on, let's round this out.
My favorite sport teams are the New York Giants.
Nothing wrong with that.
The Yankees.
Nothing wrong with that.
The Rangers for hockey.
That's awesome.
When my father passed away when I was young, my mom dated this great guy, and they were together for a long time. But he took me to all my first games.
You went to a Rangers game?
Yeah. When I was
Shut
young.
up.
He had season tickets to everything. So they were together for about 10 years.
Oh, you got to see some real hockey right there, bro.
Yeah, this was the Messier, like
Whoa,
Lawrence
yeah.
Taylor, all those guys.
Was Gretzky on there? Did you see Gretzky skate?
No, I never saw him. Oh, wow. They broke up by then.
I know. Oh, shit, I'm sorry.
But he was a great guy, man.
Date myself. Thanks. That's a polite way of saying, look, I'm not that old, you dork. You are, but I'm not, right? Well, okay, we'll wrap up. But how can people listen to you? Maybe they move to Dallas. They want to join Dallas Country Club. So they contact you, or a pro comes in, or someone wants to work for you that's here locally or whatever. How would they get in touch with you? Don't try a cell phone. He gets back to you like in 10 years. Jared Guga said the same thing about you.
I don't do any social media or anything like that other than LinkedIn.
Okay.
And I do that. So that would be one way to reach me.
Would be Michael Jordan and LinkedIn?
Or through the USPTA.
USPTA's website.
Yep, or PTR.
PTR. Okay, Michael Jordan. I'm Curtis Reese. I can be reached at Curtis, Curtis, at Reese Racket Sports. Ready for this? ReeseRacketsports.com.
Impressive.
Pull that shit through, didn't it? Yeah. Anyway, listen. Well, we're going to get out of here, but listen, before we do leave, make sure you download the app, the Vocal app, so you can watch this good-looking blue-eyed man from the one. Damn it. Where are you from again?
From Virginia.
Virginia. I don't get many people from there. I'm trying to cover up for my mess up here. So anyway, Michael Jordan here, and let's do some of our shows. We got a lot of wide variety of shows on there. If you're in a bad mood, pop something on. If you're in a good mood, pop something on our vocal umbrella. And again, I'm Curtis Reese. This is the show. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Michael Jordan. Thanks for coming, my man.
Thank you for what you're doing, man. I appreciate it.
Dallas Pickleball. And if anybody's on the fence about playing pickleball, just grab and say, come on, let's pickle. You have a great week, my brother. See you guys. Take care.
Take care.
Coming through.